Good morning. How's everybody doing today? It's a happy Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a great start to the day. Where are we at? There we are. School is back. Something tells me Chris used to be a DJ. I would DJ in my car and go crazy in the car while I'm driving in at stoplights. Yeah. Uh, so school's back in. Everybody's probably got a little bit of a shift if you have kids, obviously. And if you don't have kids, your commute to and from places during different times of the day has changed and has shifted. So things are throwing us for a loop right now. I know my schedule is off. I tried to plan accordingly, but things don't always go as planned. I normally am up and walking, meditating, focusing, going to the gym, get back, get the kids ready and everything. But now there's having to start an hour earlier. So we're shifting schedules around. And guess what? It doesn't feel right. Feels off. Feels a little icky, right? It's just not quite there. It's not quite the same as it was. But this is what happens. This is getting outside of your comfort zone with things like this, where now there's more traffic on your drive to and from work. You're having to get up a little earlier. You're feeling a little more stressed because you're not in a normal routine. What I'm going to talk about today is the simple little hacks, things you can do within your normal daily activities in your normal life to try and hack your brain a little bit, to hack your mind, to kind of get a little bit more rhythm, to bring back that normalcy, or to at least bring comfort to that uncomfort zone. But first, let's talk about both of these up. There is a tropical storm. So over here on the left, this is what is out there right now. It looks like it's going to be right over Puerto Rico. This is probably about an hour ago. By 2 p.m. today, it's going to be over Dominican Republic. And if you can see right here, insurance has a no bind box. So this is, if a storm is inside of this box, they will not bind insurance. Depending on the size of this storm, it could already be inside this box and insurance is going to be shut down. What does that mean for you and your clients and your closings? That means that if you have a closing coming up on tomorrow, Friday, Monday, because you see how this box extends all the way up into Tennessee, Kentucky, and out to Oklahoma. Just because the storm passes us, look here, Sunday it'll be right over top. Monday it'll be passing us. Just because it passes us does not mean you can bind your insurance and close. So you can easily see that from Wednesday until at the very least Monday, it's definitely still inside of this box. And it's probably going to be up until Wednesday of next week where this storm is still inside this box, even though it's past us and there is really no other opportunity for it to do any damage. You will not be able to bind your insurance. So right now, I hate to tell you to hang up off the call, but leave this call on in the background. If you have a closing, if you have a listing, if you have a buyer, and it's under contract, call the insurance company, call the lender, work on getting that, see if you can get it bound right away, ASAP this morning now. Call the listing agent, or if you're a listing agent, call the buyer's agent and tell them to jump in on that to see if they can get that done. It's a good chance it's too late, but just know that, at least for anticipation, if you have a closing coming up and it's not done, you're probably not closing till at least next Wednesday or Thursday. So keep those things in mind with the storm coming through, and then plan accordingly. I mean, don't wait till the last minute. If you have some time today, make a couple stops, pick up a few things. Don't go crazy. Don't hoard things. Just be safe and be cognizant and be aware. So let's all just have a wonderful rain event this weekend, which is more than likely what they end up being. But just so you know, this could affect your business. Talk to your clients, and this is what's going to put you in a better position if you can be proactive about this and potentially get it bound, or at least have the conversations up front. Okay, that's one thing. Next, so talking about we're uncomfortable when things change. We don't all like change. Some of us have are more averse to change, and we don't like it. Some of us like some change, but when it gets to be too much. So right now with school coming back in, It's going to put some changes in your business. It's going to put some changes in your travel schedule, in your morning routines, and all of those things. And if you don't have a morning routine, or you don't think you have a morning routine, you just found out in the last day and a half and into the next couple of days, you do have a morning routine, because what you've been doing every single morning for the last 3 months over the summer is a routine, whether you think it is or not. It's a routine that you're used to. It's a habit that you formed, and now you are feeling a little off. And that's why. It's because something came in and said, boom, give you a little poke and a little jab, and now things are just off and you're not feeling right. So the point is, it's not your fault that you have a lot of these things going on in your head about the uncertainty about not liking change, about having the fight or flight mentality when certain things come up with change. Like you've got a 2 million-year-old brain. And surprisingly, it operates in a similar manner as it did that long ago. Your brain was meant to keep you safe, not successful. You've heard me say that before. Your brain, think about it. Millions of years ago, did you have to worry about a job? Nope, your job was staying alive. Just like animals that are out there now that are predator prey, the prey that's out there needs to stay alive. And the predator out there is needing to stay alive, which means it needs to hunt. So you were in a similar position back then because you didn't have a job. There was no such thing as money. There was no such thing as money. There was no such thing as you had chores and things like that, but there was no such thing as that. You didn't have those same kind of stressors. So what you're doing now is your brain, which normally fight or flight was meant to keep you alive and keep you safe. Now you have fight or flight responses to normal stresses, to normal changes throughout your day, and that's causing you to avoid success, to avoid change, to avoid experience, to avoid things that could potentially put you in a different position, could help you grow, could help you experience other things. So, here's a few hacks to help kind of rewire your brain instead of fighting against what it is that you really want. So these little hacks they're simple things, but they're things that you'll have to start working on doing and implementing into your everyday life. It's not something you just do once. You have a brain that typically takes up to 30 days to start forming habits. And if you don't feel like you have habits, just think about how if kids or whatever that is, if you're driving because of school's back in and it's causing traffic, you have habits that you formed over the last 3 months in the summertime with time off. And now those habits are being shook a little bit. So right now you have to find ways to rewire and re-engage with these thoughts so that you can get back into a somewhat of a routine, because that's a lot of us, that's what we're after. No matter what it is, even with uncertainty, there's still a routine to how we manage those things. So number one hack, this is what's going to separate things. This is what's going to really help you to refocus whenever you have a moment like this morning. You're sitting there in traffic and you're pissed off and you're angry and you can't get there and you're 5 minutes late because of all of the extra cars. Why do these kids have to go back to school? And you're getting really frustrated. And then you have to be at a meeting. You have to make a phone call. You're behind. I still need to print that out. And you're just going. In those moments, it's really tough to focus on anything else. But if you can find a way to take your focus off of everything that's around you. Number one, ask yourself a question. Can I control this? Is this within my control, or is this outside of my control? It's traffic. It's outside of your control. You can't physically get up and move these cars. You can't physically go and change the schedule around so that it's not happening at that time. It's outside of your control. And if it's outside of your control, you need to take it from outside of that inner circle of your mind, because if I can't control it, I shouldn't be worrying about it. If this is something that is not within any range of my control, it needs to be put outside of that. I shouldn't be worrying about it. I shouldn't be spending time and emotion on that. And if you can first say that, okay, I shouldn't be worrying about it, but then the thoughts try to creep back in. You have to identify what it is. It's outside of my control. I need to stop doing that. I need to get out of my mind. I need to interrupt a pattern that's going on there. So you're getting frustrated, heart starting to race, starting to feel a little flustered, thoughts going everywhere. And you need to interrupt that pattern and start to replace them with something. And you can easily replace it with something like gratitude. Studies show that there's one common denominator among people who reported that they truly experience joy and fulfillment, and that is gratitude. When someone can sit down and say and tell someone they truly experience joy, fulfillment, truly experience life, truly experience those things, the one thing they had in common was that they are grateful. They spend time focusing on the things that they're grateful for. Because from these moments of gratitude, you can't be anything but grateful. If you, in sitting there in traffic, were grateful for the fact that, wow, I'm so grateful that there are these cars around because I see that cop there. And normally I go 65 miles an hour in this 35-mile-an-hour school zone or 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. And there's a cop there. And if I was doing that this morning, I would be getting pulled over. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have an extra 5 minutes to myself in the car so I could listen to something more positive, more inspiring, something that's going to put me in a good mood. You know, what's wrong is always available. The traffic, the traffic light, the light was too long, the kids walking across the road, stuck behind a bus, I'm 5 minutes. What's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. And the hack here is finding a way to shift your focus to what's right, and what's right is always available. I'm so grateful for my eyes that I can see. I'm so grateful for my 2 legs that I can walk. Not everybody is blessed to have that. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to drive this car. I'm so grateful for my car. I'm so grateful for a home. And then getting into the moment, I could sit down, and if I closed my eyes, and it only takes about 5 to 10 seconds, I could sit down and I could tell you, I'm so grateful for these 2 little children that I have at home. And it starts to get me welled up and starts to make me tear up with joy that I get to squeeze and hold these blessings and these wonderful kids. And right in this moment, there's nothing else that matters outside of that. The traffic, I'm late, somebody yell, it does not matter because I filled myself with that love and filled my heart with that. So gratitude is a hack that you can work on. Train your brain to fill your cup up because, again, whatever you fill your cup up with is going to be what you spill onto everybody else as you go about your day. So fill your cup up with gratitude in the morning. It will change your interactions with people throughout the day. You will spill over a different energy onto them as you go about your day. Awaken yourself with it. They say that within the first 20 minutes of the day, your brain waves, because we all emanate energy in brain waves, and we have so much electricity inside of our body that it could literally charge electronics. It could literally power a house, the amount of wattage that we have in electricity inside of our body that's not being harnessed. But you have energy waves that come off of your brain, and throughout the day, your brain waves change from different phases, theta, gamma, alpha. But in the morning, those brain waves are the slowest. They're the most impressionable. So when your brain waves are like this, it's a lot harder to disrupt them throughout the day. Your brain waves are really, really fast. But when your brain waves are going really slow in the morning, that first 20 minutes, it's the most impressionable. And studies show that that's when you can have the greatest impression on your subconscious mind. And if you prime your brain for gratitude, to focus on gratitude, those things tend to carry over through the rest of the day more regularly. When things aren't going right, like I talked about, where is your focus? Where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on the traffic, you're going to find out you're thinking about and getting pissed off about the traffic. If you focus on being late, you're going to get more anxious about being late. If you focus on the moments of gratitude, you are going to find that you are feeling more grateful and looking for more things to be grateful for. So take some time to do that. Number two, number one, and number two, change your state. If you ever find that you are in a moment, in a place that you are frustrated, angry, pissed off, tired, not feeling right, things just don't feel right. Oh, like that's like right now for a lot of us, our routine is often, I feel fine, but things just don't feel right, right? It's because that normal routine that you've been going through is not there. And your normal routine encompassed a few things: your physiological state, how your body's moving. So mine was normally get up, walk, meditate, go to the gym. I've been moving, and that's 2 hours before most people even get up. So other people, it's, kind of drag around, make breakfast, do certain things, barely change before you drive off to drop kids off. Your physiological state, the way you breathe, the way you move, the way your body and blood is flowing, the way your muscles are moving. The other one is your focus, the things that you're focusing on. Before you may not have to focus on the traffic because you weren't driving. And then your physiology focus and your language, the things that you are saying. Before, you could be at home, relaxing, taking it easy with kids. They didn't have to go to school. Everybody's just You're in a different state, but now you are saying things to yourself. We're going to be late. I can't believe that. There's all this traffic. I hope that that light doesn't turn red. This is really going to, I hope that. So all of those things are creating a state. That is your state altogether. Your thoughts, your language, your physiology, your focus, all of that is your state. So if you can change your state, that is a simple little hack that's going to give you an edge above anybody else. I've mentioned, and I say this all the time, has anybody ever went to the gym and after you've left the gym said, man, I really wish I didn't go today. I really wish I didn't work out today because I feel horrible. I mean, I just feel so bad, so down, so depressed, so anything. No, I can't think of a single person that ever would, because it does not correlate with your brain. We don't feel emotions and emotional states. We do emotions. Show me what it looks like to be depressed. Head down, shoulders down, slumped over, short breaths, physiology barely moving, everything's kind of closed off. Talking very softly. Show me what it feels like to be anxious. Kind of tight all together. Your body does certain things. Show me what it feels like to be scared. You're going to do something different. Show me what it feels like to be excited and confident. And you can't help but change your physiology. We do emotion. So if you're in an emotional state that does not feel good, that's tiresome, that's worrisome, that's just not really in line with where you want to be, start by changing your physiology. Change your body. Breathe. Expand the lungs and the diaphragm. Changes the body. Go to the gym. Go for a walk. Move. Change your physical surroundings. Change your physiology while you're walking. Getting out, moving. Go a little bit faster. Change the pace up a little bit. Those things are going to help to change your state. So if you are in a state right now that's pissed off, angry, frustrated, mad, then you need to take a moment and you need to change your physiology. And if you change your physiology, your brain cannot correlate the same things together. It's not going to correlate that you're moving, breathing, everything's going, and you're, I say, working out, working. Your brain says, well, we can't be angry. We can't be pissed off. We can't be that. Because normally when our heart's getting like this and our body's moving and the blood's flowing and the serotonin's coming out and all of the other hormones are coming out, when we're doing that, we're excited. We're happy. We're good. You know, you can't be doing a bunch of jumping jacks and be angry because your brain just doesn't correlate the two together. It says, no, we're in a good mood. We're okay. We're happy. We're getting everything moving. So your brain's going to see that difference. And then your focus. Change the focus. What you focus on, you will feel. If you focus on all the negative, you're going to feel it more. If you focus on all the problems, you're going to feel it more. And too many times we are always focused on the negative that needs to do better rather than all of the positive and amazing things that we've done. So a kid brings home a report card, 3 A's and a D. What do? We got to make the D better. We got to focus on that D. The kid has 3 A's. Maybe he is a brilliant genius at what he got A's in, and he's just not that great at that or doesn't like it enough to put the energy into it. Why would you dilute energy from something that he's absolutely amazing at, that he could be a rock star at and really put all of his focus into? Why would you dilute it over to something that he's really not excited about, doesn't have energy about, and is going to get pissed off and is going to take time away from something that makes him happy? Why would you do that? So let's put some focus and energy on the positive things, not the things that need to be changed. Let's put the focus and energy on the things that are already great, already awesome, already wonderful, already have to be grateful for. Put our focus on those. And then your language. Your language is the things we say to ourselves. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself and the quality of decisions you make based on those questions. Questions infer that you used words and asked yourself something. So we're constantly talking to ourselves and using language. So questions we're asking ourselves is a language. Things we're saying to ourselves are a language. I showed a video probably 6, 8 months ago of a group, and they brought a girl out and they asked her questions. Tell me the things you don't like about yourself. Write them down. She wrote them all down. Then they brought her sister out and said, okay, take that list that you wrote of all the things you don't like about yourself, and now I want you to read them as if you were saying them about your sister. And they said, absolutely not. I would never do that. So you would never say these things to someone else outside of yourself, but you would say them to yourself. It is, why would you not say them to anybody else? It's rude, it's wrong, it would hurt their feelings, it would destroy them, it would make them so upset. I would never want them to feel that way. Yet we say them to ourselves all day long. So your physiological state, your focus, and your language are three incredibly powerful things that if you can start to manage those throughout your day, you're going to hack your brain. But you have to become cognizant and aware of the things that you're constantly doing now so that you can change them and make a difference. Habits. Everything we do is a series of habits. Everything. That's your brain works that way. It does things, and if you do it again and it does it again, your brain is looking for systems, processes, and tools and ways that it can make your life easier so it can focus on the things that are important to you, or in most regard, keeping you safe, not necessarily successful, so it can focus on keeping you safe. So how does that do that? Everybody, if you have a second and you're in front of the computer or your phone, type in on the chat which leg you put in your pants first right now. Right now, type it in. Don't think, just write in. Which leg do you put in your pants first when you wake up in the morning? Which leg? Most people, it's going to take a minute. You got to think about it. Why? Because you have a habit, the way you get. What about putting your shirt on? Head in first, arms through first. Right arm first, left arm first. How do you do it? You have to turn it inside out because you never folded it the night before. How do you put those things in? Chat in and tell me which ones you do. What do you do? And did you have to think about it? We got a bunch of right leggers. Left leg, right leg. So either my legs don't care. So when you're thinking about that, did you have to think about which leg you put in first, or was it automatic? Now, if you're driving, think about this. As you're driving, do you have to tell your right foot to pick up off the gas to push onto your left so you can brake? You have to say right foot up, right foot down, right foot up, pump again, pump, right foot pump, right foot off, right foot gas, left hand, right over left, right over left, check mirror, check. No, these are habits that form. Everything, the way you brush your teeth. You probably brush your teeth in the same manner. It's either erratic all the time, that's a pattern, that's a habit, or it's left side, straight across, then to the bottom, straight across, inside. You're all of those things, they're all habits. Everything we do is a series of habits. What you have to do, if you have habits that are not serving you, find a way to interrupt those habits and patterns. Had to think about it. So interrupt those patterns that are not serving you. First, identify that they are a pattern. This is just a habit. Why do I feel the same way all the time? Why do I do the same thing all the time? Whatever these things are, in sometimes feeling a certain emotion, coming to work, or looking down at your phone when you see that it rings. Do you ever notice that if you start to get stressed, sometimes you can create a period of time where if your phone dings or rings, you get a quick jolt of anxiety, stress, some type of emotion in you that's not good because you're anticipating a problem, extra work, a phone call, something that's going to throw you off. Those are habits and patterns when the phone rings. So what you may want to do is you may want to change, number one, identify that every time my phone dings like that, it is making me feel this way, even when my husband or wife sends me a message. So maybe what you want to identify, that's a problem. Now let's create a new habit. Interrupt the pattern. How do we interrupt that pattern? We change the ringer on the phone. Every time my wife texts me, I change that. Now I've interrupted that normal pattern. So whenever the phone dings, it's not going to ding anymore. Maybe it's going to be when she sends me a message, it's going to be something bright, cheerful, a song or something whenever she calls or sends a message. And then whenever I hear that, I'm going to start implementing thoughts into my mind and saying things in my mind that are going to be more positive, because I'm training my brain that every time she calls, it's a wonderful thing, it's an awesome thing, until she starts telling me about all the crap I got to do when I get home. So, but you want to interrupt that pattern, identify it, interrupt it, and then replace it. So that's how you can create new habits. And if you identify what they are, we're going to create a new habit, but it takes up to 30 days. 30 days to form a new habit. And right at the end of that 30-day mark, when you're coming up on that 30-day mark, we start to get a little frustrated because you've been doing something for 30 days that's not normal to you. You're doing something that's somewhat uncomfortable to you. And it's a little bit of work in the beginning. But I promise that work in the beginning, the payoff in the end is great. But after 30-day mark, you typically have a breakdown moment where you're just like, your brain really just goes, look, this is tiresome. Can we just go back to the way that it was? It was working fine. I know you didn't really like it, but I can find a way to get you back into it. It'll be okay. And then when you go back to it, you start to feel normal. And that normalcy is complacency. And then that complacency creates a stagnant life. And that stagnant life creates frustration because we're not growing. And if we're not growing, we're not progressing. And if we're not progressing, we're not really making ourselves happy or having happy moments. So progress equals happiness. And we want to constantly be growing. So change is where all of these things start to happen. Everything you want is on the other side of your comfort zone, on the other side of that barrier and that wall. So create a habit of focusing on what you want to feel, not what is going on around you. So that's why a why, a goal, and those things are really, really strong, because if you have a strong connection, a reason why, a purpose why that you're doing something, and you can constantly connect to those things, every time something comes up against you that's a little troublesome, and you can redirect your focus to your why, your purpose, you identify that it happens, you interrupt that pattern with something by maybe I change my physiology, I change my focus, or change my language, and then you refocus on what you really want, because that's what's really going to be powerful, is when you can change that focus to start creating a new habit, but it's going to be uncomfortable. So those are the things you got to work on if you have habits that you're looking to change, or things that you're looking to create new habits on. Procrastination, we all procrastinate, right? Always. So what is procrastination? Right? What's procrastination? It's your brain trying to keep you safe from doing something that's uncomfortable, because you either don't want to do it, it's going to be a bad experience, it's going to be a rough experience, or you've already created the experience in your head of what it's going to be, and it may be the furthest thing from the truth. But knocking on a door, picking up the phone and calling a prospect, you sit there and procrastinate because you go through all of the things in your mind. But what happens is there's that moment, there's that quick 5-second moment, 5 to 10-second moment where that thought comes in that I need to do this, and wham, you get hit with a moment where your brain goes, wait a minute, hold on a second, we don't need, your brain starts to redirect towards keeping you comfortable, towards keeping you safe. A simple hack for this, really, really simple. The minute when you have to do something, like in the morning, if you have to wake up at 5 a.m., and you know you don't want to, and you know you normally hit the snooze button, and you know you're going to focus on all of the, I'm tired, I don't want to this. The minute you open your eyes, guess what you're going to focus on? All of the things that you normally do. I'm tired, I don't want to get up, it's too cold outside of the bed, I don't want to do this. So when you get up, train your brain to say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. You can easily count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without even thinking about it. But counting backwards takes just a little bit more thought, a little bit more direction, a little bit more of redirecting your focus onto something else. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. The things that you don't always want to do, most of the time, are the things that you must do to end up making progress, to end up getting to the place that you want to be. These are the things that you must do if you want to be whatever your definition is of success. If you want to achieve that, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do most of the time. You know, it's not because it's not going to get you what you want. It's just that it might be hard. It might not be fun. There might be some adversity. There might be some problems. But if you can do something to trick your brain and start counting backwards, when you open your eyes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and get up. Go and get up. When I say go, we go. No questions. So the more parts, here's a tip here. The more parts of your physiology, focus, and language you can engage, the stronger the neurological connection. So if you're looking to change something, most of us try to change something by thinking our way through it, right? That's what we typically do. Well, your physiology is the strongest part of you. That's going to have the most influence. You cannot think your way out of a place you acted your way into. That's so often what we do, though, isn't it? That's right. Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So it's a wonderful book. So we cannot think your way out of a situation you acted your way into, because you acted your way physiologically, mentally, language into that situation using all of those three powerful points. And now you're trying to think your way out of it when your physiology and your focus and your language is already in a different state. And it's not going to happen. I don't care how hard you try, your thoughts will not get you out of it. It'll get you right to the point of taking action, and then you're going to fall short because your action isn't going to be as strong as it should, isn't going to be as strong as it needs to be. So just a simple tip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, engaging your physiological or engaging your mind, making it think of something other than the direction it wants to go, having to force it to count backwards, and then saying it out loud using your language, and then go with some energy and actually get up and move your body and start moving your body right away. Here's some changes for you. Another one, raise your standards. If you wonder why you keep getting what you've always got, it's because you've had the same standards. If you get what you've always got, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And if you wonder why that hasn't changed, it's because you haven't raised your standards. Raise your standards. Think of yourself as a think of yourself as having a thermostat. Think of your standards and your identity and your belief systems as a thermostat. And we are built in with a governor that keeps us around the same thermostat, around the same temperature. The same way your house, if you live somewhere where it got hot and cold, not just blistering hot out, you could set it to auto at 75 degrees, and when it got too hot, it kicks on and cools it off, brings it right back down to where it is. If you got too cold, it'll kick on the heat and bring it right back to 75 where it's supposed to be. Your brain, your body, your standards, your identity operates the same way. If you wonder why things aren't changing, it's because your thermostat is stuck in the same place. Your thermostat is stuck at 75, and you're trying to change it with some simple things, but you've never engaged every part of yourself, your physiology, your focus, your language, and then using proximal relationships to really empower that. If you want to raise your standard, put yourself around people doing the things that you're doing, that you want to do. If you want to do something different, find the people doing that and surround yourself with them. You will be instantly changed. Start feeding your mind and filling your mind with the things, videos, books. Diet is not just what you put over your mouth and consume, it's what you put in your ears and through your eyes. So watch, read, consume things, develop a proximal relationship with people, videos, things, books, and information that is exactly where you want to be. If I asked you to think about everything that you do on a daily basis, weekly basis, everything you watch, read, consume, and the people that you talk to and the people you hang around with, is all of that, all of the diet that you're consuming, is that at a place that you want to be, or is it a place that you're comfortable? And if it's at a place that you're comfortable, you need to raise your standards. I'm not saying you have to leave everybody behind, but I'm telling you, you need to create some new relationships. I'm telling you, you need to create some new meaning. I'm telling you, you need to attach to some new must-dos, must-haves, not want-tos, because you get what you tolerate. Think about it. You are tolerating the car that you're driving in right now. Some of us may love it. Some of us may hate it. But if you don't like the car that you're in and you're pissed off about it and you want a new car, the only reason you don't have a new car is because you tolerate what you have and you haven't made it an absolute must to get a new one. There's not a strong enough reason why. There's not a strong enough drive. There's not a strong enough standard as to why you have to have this new car. What if you decided that this isn't about money? This isn't about physical things. It's not about that. But it's just an easy example. What if you decided that the car you're in is no longer safe for you and your family? And you said, every day that I drive in this car with my family, I'm putting them at risk of death and myself at risk of death. And every day I don't change that, I risk losing them, risk losing myself, risk losing my freedoms and capabilities physically that I have, and risk their life. And getting this new car that I've always wanted is the difference because of the high crash test standards, the 5-star ratings that it has. That's the difference that's going to make me feel comfortable. And I demand that I put my family in that car, and I'll no longer tolerate this. Some simple shifts of raising your standards. You have to make it a must. It's not something that's just going to happen. You're not just going to all of a sudden feel like, oh, I guess we'll go get a new car. If you want it to happen sooner, you have to make a reason for it to happen. It usually happens why? Because it becomes a must when your car breaks down and you can no longer support your family because you can't drive around and you can't do business and you can't earn money and you can't get groceries and you can't and you can't and you can't. And all of a sudden it's a must. Find a way to make it a must sooner, and then surround yourself with people that can help you make that happen. Put yourself in a proximal relationship with people that are going to put you on the right side of that. Sorry, go down. Focus on value. Here's another little hack and a tip to make you feel more confident and feel better about some of the relationships you have work-wise. Focus on providing value rather than focusing on getting a deal. What if you changed your focus and you said, I'm going to be the person who provides more value to this farm, to my sphere, to this group of people than anybody else in this area. I will provide more value to the people in this area, my sphere, my farm, my whatever, and I will provide more value to them than anybody else that surrounds us. Anybody else. Would that make a difference in your business? If you focused on the value rather than focusing on the business you don't have, or why have they not called me, or I got to go out and walk all these streets, or it's so dang hot outside, or I really don't want to call them. What if you just focused on bringing and providing more value and finding who it was that you could help today out in that area? If you change your focus to value, if you are the one that provides the most value to everybody around you, that's what's going to set you apart. That's what's going to make a difference in your life and in your business. Another hack here. This one is huge. And if you're not doing this at all at some point in your day, you're missing out. Visualization. The key is we don't want, you say you want $100,000 a year or whatever. We don't want 100,000 pieces of paper. What we want is the feeling, the emotion, and the experience it's going to give us. We want the meaning and the feeling it's going to bring to us, right? So if you could close your eyes and visualize next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you earning $100,000 and creating the emotion that it would feel, who stands to gain the most? How much of a difference would this make in my life when I'm able to earn this? Who's going to benefit? You know, how much of a difference is it going to make? If you started creating emotional attachments to that, not to the money, but to the meaning that it would have for you to be earning $100,000, how much more time would you be able to spend with your family? Where would you be able to travel? What could you provide for them? What could you do for them? How different be? Putting those emotions, how much more freedom would you have to be able to spend time doing those things? Whatever that is, if you can visualize and create an emotional attachment to those things, it becomes that much more strong. Your brain does not know the difference between what you vividly imagine using all of your body, your emotions, energy, your thoughts, creating that in your head, does not know the difference between when you do that and what's actually real. Have you ever been to a concert? Have you ever been to something and you just had this amazing feeling and emotion that you left with, and it was like walking on clouds and it just felt so good? And if you sat down and closed your eyes and thought back to that, you could almost put yourself there and come really close to creating that feeling and that emotion and feeling that. And you could bring that emotion back, and it's like you're already there. So you are remembering something that you've done in the past, but you can easily do it by creating an event in the future. Create that event in the future in your mind, in your brain, in your emotions, and really feel it, really get through that, pull that visualization in, and your body and your brain will not know the difference. What you start to do is you start to take action towards those goals, towards that vision, and your reticular activating system knows that that's important to me. Let's pick out things around us, emotions, people, connections, signs around us, going to bring me closer to that. And then again, when you have a reason and a purpose in that emotion, you're going to take stronger action towards those things too. Because with a stronger belief, a stronger potential, You take greater action, get better results, and those results turn around and say, see, you're pretty dang awesome. I knew you could do it. Let's do that again. And it's just a cycle that you go through. Be a creator. The statement here is, you need to no longer be a manager of your circumstance, the things that happen to you. You want to be a creator of your life. Too many of us are just managing the circumstances that come to us instead of creating the life that we want. And you create the life that you want by doing things like visualization, gratitude, setting some goals, making things a must. This is the life that I must have. Here's the vision of that life. Here's gratitude and the fulfillment and everything I'm going to feel. Be a creator of your life and not just a manager of your circumstance. You know, your past does not equal your future. The things that you've done in the past do not equal what's going to happen in the future. So you're not left to just managing the hand that you are dealt, right? You can create new opportunities. You can create new connections. You can create new emotions. You can create. Stop being left to managing your circumstances and things that you're just dealt. Start creating those things. But to do that, you have to be clear on what you want. You have to have a clear vision. You have to have some clear emotional attachment. You have to have some gratitude and some connection and some emotion involved. You got to have those things. That's why we want you to do a primary aim. That's why from that primary aim, we want you to start cutting back from that 5 years and come back to 3 years, 2 years, 1 year this quarter, so that we can start working towards that and creating stronger attachments to those things that actually mean something, and you're not just going through motions. So be a creator of your life and not just a manager of your circumstance. Watch your words. Here's a simple hack. Change some of the words that you're using. I don't have time. Change that to, it's just not important to me. And see how quickly you change some of the actions and some of the ways that you refer to things. It's just not that important to me, instead of, I don't have any time. Also, the story of, oh, you know my luck. I mean, it's just the way that I was raised. My mom was like that. My dad was like that. Their grandparents were like that. We come from this. That's where I came from. Your past does not equal your future, your current circumstances. Stop being the manager of the circumstances that you have and start creating the life that you want. We've seen plenty of people step outside of that, but you can do that by, if you change your words, you can change your life. Change your story, you can change your life. You are being dictated by a story that you keep telling yourself. And here's the greatest example of that. This elephant. How can an elephant that's this strong, do you know an elephant, they say, can move up to 14,000 pounds, lift up to 14,000 pounds, 7 tons? An elephant. And yet, when they keep an elephant tied up, they're keeping it tied up with a small rope and something equivalent of a toothpick. Why? Because the story this elephant has is what keeps it bound to that. It's not the rope and the stick. That elephant was this small and a little bit. They tied a rope that seemed giant and a stake that seemed bigger, and they put that in the ground. And that elephant tried and tried and tried and tried. And tried and tried and tried. And his story was, I can do this. I can get away. I don't belong here, until he no longer could. And then this story of this elephant, the belief of this elephant was, I can't get away in that stake. It's too strong. I'm not strong enough. I'm too weak. I can't do it. I'll just have to keep doing what they tell me. And then the elephant gets this big. And that belief is so strong. That story of that rope is so strong, it holds them and locks them into this position. How is that possible? This elephant could easily rip that thing out of the ground and go crazy. And you see the stories of when that happens, when the elephant makes it an absolute must, and I will no longer put up with this, and rips that out of the ground and goes crazy. I will no longer be tied to the story of my past. And that's what's happening to us with our stories and our beliefs. We have a belief, we have a story that's stuck to us, and we keep telling ourselves the same story over and over and over again, and we are tied to the stake that is not allowing us to get any further. We need to change the story of the past, change the words that you're using about your story, and you can change your life. Pay attention to the actual words. Words can carry a lot of meaning. So, and we all have a story, I've always done this. It's always been that way. I've never been able to get away from that rope. Those are the powerful things that you can start changing, because we all know that elephant is strong enough, but we don't all know that we are strong enough. You need to start telling yourself that you are strong enough. You can be the creator of your life. You can definitely step out and no longer be the manager of your circumstances and create the life that you want. We just need to rip that rope out of the ground, because you know you can and you're strong enough. Another story, exactly, and this is how it can happen by things that happen to us when we allow them to happen to us, for us. If you haven't heard the story of the flea, if you take fleas and put them into a jar, a flea can jump up to 1 to 200 times its body length up, or vertically or horizontally, up to 200 times, like 100 times higher and like 200 times longer, which means that a flea could easily jump 12 to 15 inches. 200, that's the equivalent of you or I being able to jump like 300 to 600 feet high or long. Pretty crazy, right? But if you take that flea and you put it inside of a jar that's only like 6 inches tall, flea will jump up and hit its head on the top of that jar a few times, and then it'll stop. I think the average was about anywhere from 10 to 15 times, and it will stop, and it'll only jump high enough so that it doesn't hit its head. But the crazy part is the things that happened to this flea when they removed the lid. The flea didn't jump out of the jar. It took quite a prolonged period of time before the flea would jump back to its normal height. It would take a really long time for it to realize, because it still thought, well, I don't want to hit my head. I don't want to hit my head. Then think of it. Your brain is so much more powerful than a flea's, and you could make those changes a lot quicker. And if you start thinking that life doesn't happen to you, I wasn't put inside this jar. Life doesn't happen to me, it happens for me. I was put inside this jar to learn this opportunity of what my greatest strengths were, and my strengths were always that. And somebody just came and said, hey, just keep this in mind. There's people that can't jump as high as you, or don't have the potential that you have, or don't have the energy that you have, or don't have the things that you have. So stop taking advantage of it. So when I take the lid off this jar, I want you to jump as high as you possibly can. If we start changing our stories and start focusing on the things that we've always had inside of us, not just the limitations and life happened to us, these things are happening for us. So there's just some changes that we have to make. Watch your words. I got that. So actually, I did this yesterday, and it's not going to be the same, so I won't spend too much time on it. I want to show you, just I told you about your mind. Like I said, your brain is much stronger and much greater and much bigger than a flea, and we just don't get it. I want to see if I can show you this. And I'll show you how I did this in our Apollo Beach class, and I'll just show you. And you can watch my hand. It might be a little different. Normally, I'm going to rest my elbow on something so my hand doesn't move as much. But if I sit here, I want to show you how strong your mind is. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on this washer. And now I'm going to hold it a little closer. And I'm going to try not to move my hand, so I apologize if it moves a little bit. But with only my mind and my intention, I'm going to tell this washer to start moving. Left, right, 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 left, right. And then I'm going to tell the washer to be still. Now I want to see if my brain can control this washer, telling it to move in, out, in, out, in, out, in. I'll try and go this way so you can see if it's going. In, out, 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 and then be still. Now I want to see if my brain's powerful enough to transfer energy to this washer and make it go around in circles. Round, about, round, about, round, and about, round, about, round, about, round, about, round, about. Now I want it to be still. So if you could see that on the screen, you were able to, and I want you all to try that. Find a washer, find a piece of string, get a shoelace, tie it to something that's got a little bit of weight to it, Just hold it up and focus with all of your intention on this washer and this washer, that little weight, and make it move side to side, in and out, and around in circles, and then make it stop. And see how you can control that with your mind by a transfer of thought and energy. So you don't think that you can do some of the simple things that you want to do in your life. Yet if you show yourself this, you can cause this string in this physical washer to move. But we're not even touching it. Not even touching it. Your brain is so powerful. There is so much electrical charge and energy stuck inside of our bodies that we don't quite know and have the capacity to use and transfer an energy inside of us. And I want you to know that you are a limitless individual. Unlimited. You can do anything that you want to do. But we have to open our minds to those possibilities. We have to detach from the story of the past, and we have to start visualizing and connecting to an emotion of what it is that we really want. And I believe, one last thing. This was just fun. One last little thing. All right, so if you can see on the screen, some of you that were in the class yesterday, if you were in the class I did yesterday, don't chime in the answer. As a salesperson, you have to be a good listener. I think that's one of the greatest attributes of a skilled salesman is the ability to listen. It's also one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Listen with be able to first to understand, then to be understood, which means you have to listen. You have to actively listen. So I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to chat the answer in. So I want you to chat the answer in after this. So we got a nickel, a dime, and a quarter on the screen, right? We can all agree, nickel, dime, quarter. Nickel, dime, quarter. So I want you to listen to the story, and I want you to tell me the answer about this nickel, dime, and quarter. Bob's mom has 3 kids, Nicholas, Demetrius, and a third one. What's the third one's name? What's the answer? Nicholas, Demetrius, and a third one. What's the third one's name? Chat in the answer if you have it. What's the third one's name? Some people listen. And for those of you that didn't, you can see in the chat. Bob's mom has 3 kids, Nicholas, Demetrius, and a third one. What's the third one? Cortelius. Quintavious, Cortavious, whatever. No. Quarantine. Bob's mom has 3 kids, Nicholas, Demetrius, and a third one. What is the third one's name? We become so intent and so focused on getting the answer for the person and getting the right answer, and we're so focused on our reply that we forget to listen intently. Bob's mom has 3 kids, Nicholas, Demetrius, and Bob. Bob's mom has 3 kids. So the third one is Bob. But we are so intent on focusing on the answer. I need the answer. Got to get the answer. Got to give him the answer. I want to give you the answer. What's the answer? The answer you want to hear, the answer you need. That we're so focused on. How do we decipher the situation? Wait, Nicholas, Demetrius, there's a quarter. The quarter means this. The quarter I can give him, but we forgot to listen to the simplest thing in there. Bob's mom. Bob's mom. It's just a simple riddle, but as far as listening goes, the listening skill that you need as a salesman, it has to develop. So be more proactive with your listening, be more intent with your listening, seek first to understand, then to be understood. With that said, happy Wednesday. Hope you guys have a great day. I appreciate you chiming in and joining me today. And don't forget, check on insurance. Storm jumps inside the box. You're not going to be able to bind. Just make sure you advise your sellers and buyers accordingly. See if you can't get that done. On the farm when I was young, we had pigs contained in different sections of a pasture with an electric fence. When we removed the electric fence to move them to a different pasture, we had to rope and pull them across where the electric fence was. Exactly. And we do that to ourselves as humans. Even after that electric fence was gone, it's basically it's ingrained in them, and they tell them, well, if I go past that, I'm gonna get shocked, and they're not gonna do that. Great way to start the day. Thank you, Donna. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and get out and get after it. Thanks, guys.